Hello, and welcome to episode 20 of Body, the Cloud9 Fancast. Today we'll be discussing some small other esports news like Mango's coach and C9's newly acquired Dota 2 team, as well as dive headfirst into all the exciting details surrounding the 2017 LCS Spring Split. I'm your host Havocpuss, and today I am joined by my lovely friends.
Hi, it's Frozen Creek again, back from the dead of 2016. Unfortunately, 2017 has not looked any better at all, because I am sick.
Hey, it's Pie Magic Man. Did you guys miss me? No? Oh, I thought so.
I did.
And I'm Ian, or that trombone guy, whatever you want to call me. I'm back again.
Yes, hello once again. It's nice to see you. Well, not see you, but hear your lovely voices as we embark on another episode. So, fellas, before we break into the LCS stuff, let's go over some other esports news. First and foremost, Cloud9 has announced that Tafo will be Mango's coach. The first big tournament that's coming up is Genesis 4 in San Jose on January 20th through the 22nd. Ally will also be there, participating for Smash 4, so that should be pretty cool. I haven't heard a lot about Tafo, but apparently he's a really good analyst, and he's been a friend of Mango's for a while, so now he's official.
So, yeah, one of the biggest things about going into tournaments is Tafo stats. Like, he has just loads and loads of statistics on all the players, so he's going to be a really good coach. It's already been kind of hinted that he's been helping Mango out a lot with that, but now that it's official, you know, things are looking good.
So my kind of take on this is I think it's fantastic that he's getting a coach. I think that that's something that in Smash hasn't really been utilized at all until now. So I think that'll, especially with like Mango being like a really impulsive kind of person sometimes, I think that'll really help him out a lot. The only thing that I could think of that might get in the way of that is the fact that they know each other and they're already friends. So like, one not wanting to offend the other might somewhat get in the way, but I think that it's a huge step in the right direction for the most part.
I mean, you do have to look at the fact that, biggest issue with coaching when you look at Evo with Liquid Crunch and Hungrybox, someone was saying like he's getting help like, you know, midway through the set, but it paid off. He won Evo, so it looks like there is some good news to having a coach.
Yeah, I feel like as long as there's not coaching going on like mid-match, I'm okay with it all the way. Just no like mid halfway through your 4 stocks coaching or anything. That'd be stupid.
We also talked about how awesome the introduction video was.
That was pretty funny. It was a pretty funny video. Hey, Dota 2's back, guys. I can finally care about that game.
I'm just kidding.
They have acquired the Danish team Imperial, who is also known as the Danish Bears. Pie Magic Man explained earlier that it was a very complicated musical chairs of them going from Danish Bears to Imperial back to Danish Bears, and it's all very confusing. Point is, we have a Dota 2 team now, so keep on the lookout for that exciting new MOBA game. Also, in other esports news, C9 Overwatch is rumored to be playing in Apex S2 after dropping from the NGL Winter Premiere. The teams are announced this Friday, which is the 13th, I believe. Yes. So
Yes.
keep on the lookout for that. What is the Apex S2 tournament exactly?
So it's the second season of Apex, which is the premier Overwatch tournament in South Korea. So they're going to be playing with a bunch of the best teams in South Korea, as well as this is where I believe Doa and Monte Cristo are going to be the
Feels
new casters
bad, man.
of after their recent departure.
Monty Puke.
Yeah, I believe let me double check. I believe it's 12 teams with 4 Western teams. I'll double check on that real quick.
Okay. Sounds good. Hopefully we will perform well. I think our Overwatch team is pretty good, so hopefully we'll at least do fairly decent. I don't know how good Korean Overwatch is, so
I know that the game is
Yeah,
like
it's like the number 2 game in
massive
Korea.
in
It's
Korea. Like
constantly competing
it's
with League.
really really popular. Yeah, it trades blows with League. Like it switches from a day-to-day basis, if I remember correctly, on like how popular the game is.
Yeah, hopefully a big profile tournament like this will let Blizzard know that they need to stop buffing every single tank.
Yes. Well, if you're wondering how the Overwatch team, Mango, Dota 2, and all of our other esports friends are going to be doing, we will be breaking off finally, officially, starting with the LCS. Other esports will have its own show. You'll see a lot of lovely faces, possibly Pie Magic Man, possibly Ian, probably me, anyone else really that we can find who wants to talk about other esports in Cloud9. Uh, it'll be a really fun time. It'll be similar to this, but we'll just be talking about non-league stuff. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. It'll be fun. All right, so the time at last, guys. Let's talk about Spring Split because the time is almost upon us. It's a week away. I know I'm excited. You guys are excited, right?
Finally.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can get some good nap time with the extended EU LCS split.
EU in 2017. Lol. So let's break down our own roster first. We have in the top lane Mr. Top Die, aka Impact, and with his sub Ray. In the jungle we have Contracts with Meteos as a sub. Mid lane of course is Jensen. AD carry is Sneaky as always, and our lovely protein shake who's just been a ray of sunshine. We got Smoothie. So coming into this, what do you think our pros and cons are and our expectations for this split? I know Contracts is kind of a big question mark. He's a rookie. He performed well in Challenger, but he's unproven on the big LCS stage. You know, how do you guys think about this really quick? We went over this last week or last episode, but you know, just as a quick refresher.
I think that this team has a lot of potential to be as good, if not better, than the last edition of Cloud9 from Worlds. I think that Contracts has shown that he has all the potential in the world, and that if he was older, he would have been playing in the LCS already. So I'm excited to see how his play comes up to the LCS and how learning from Reaper and Sneaky and Jensen helps his play elevate.
Yeah, so I mean, you have group four people already made it through group stage at Worlds, so you already know that their Impact, Jensen, Sneaky, Smoothie are good. Meteos, I still think of him highly as a player, but it feels like he has a mental block when he hits the stage. So hopefully Contracts can come in fresh. He can bring something new to the team, push it a little bit. One of my big concerns is Jensen, Contracts, Ray. If that team happens, they all, to me, look like they're more carry roles. So I don't know how exactly you balance who is the main carry when you have three big threats like that. Otherwise, I can imagine Contracts helping Jensen and Impact out immensely.
Contracts plays a pretty mean Rek'Sai in Hecarim, though.
Yeah, Contract seems like the kind of guy that can kind of do it all. I know Jensen on stream said that this specific roster of Cloud9 feels like probably the strongest roster they've ever had, and he feels like they can probably do a lot with it. So it's really great to see that he's confident in it. I think that sounds like him and Contracts have a really good synergy, especially with Contracts being the rookie player. Jensen can kind of dictate like, hey, you know, look at me. I'm the captain now. I'm the mid laner now. And he tells them, you know, how to, you know, buff allocation, where to gank where, and how to apply map pressure and all that stuff. So I think that with all the veterans surrounding Contracts, I think he has a really good, you know, way to go.
Oh yeah, I guess one other point I forgot. It speaks a lot to Contracts, the fact that they sold all other four contracts to FlyQuest, but kept his.
Yeah, they must be really confident in his ability if they were willing to take a gamble on a rookie player and keep him instead of keep any of the other veteran players from Cloud9
Yeah,
Challenger.
I agree with that. I'm super excited for this roster, man. Like all the people that we've known since for a while now. Like the world's roster is almost entirely still together, so they all have that synergy built up. Contracts coming in. He's supposed to be like amazing. Hopefully, just looks real good. Like I firmly believe that this roster has like number one potential in a just like absolutely number one potential and like a lot of world potential as well. So like this is really exciting. Honestly, I haven't been this excited for a C9 roster since like the OG C9 roster when they first came into the LCS in season 3.
Yeah, also, just to mention something before we move on to the other teams, an ESPN article came out doing preseason power rankings. They ranked us at number 7 in the world. So that's a pretty big deal if we're placed so highly in preseason rankings. Now, it is just preseason rankings, and if anyone who follows normal sports like college football know, preseason rankings don't mean anything. But we know for a
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah, neither does going undefeated in the season.
Oh,
does it
don't
now?
don't do this
Oh,
now.
God.
Don't do
You-
this to me now.
You went there.
Alabama held the number one ranking until 1 second left in the fourth
And
quarter.
then they
Jalen Hurts
lost
is
it
dead to
to a
me.
3-yard pass.
Jalen Hurts is dead to me.
I'm sorry.
I hope he never plays football again.
Oh God. All right,
Hey.
back on track. though.
Okay, back on track. Let's move on to Counter Logic Gaming. Okay, so for CLG, their roster has remained untouched. You still have Darshan, Xmithy, Huhi, 6day, and Afromu. Returning once again for another year of League of Legends. I'm not really sure where to put them. They have always been a team that's a greater than the sum of their parts. Afromu has really great leadership. He can kind of bring everyone together, and even though Huhi or Darshan or Xmithy or Stixay may not be the greatest player out of all the North American LCS, together under his leadership, they can do a lot. So they have great synergy. Again, not really strong individually, and I think maybe some of their champion pools may be hurt, especially with Huhi. He's always been the one everyone kind of dumps on, sometimes unfairly, but he is something that people kind of have to bring a concern. So what do you guys think about CLG?
I'm. Oh, Frozen, were you gonna go?
Oh no, you can go.
Okay, so for CLG, I have a very strong opinion on CLG, and that's been the same really since I saw them, like this roster they've had for a while now really form, and that's been that Huhi has been the consistent weakness for this team, like just always throughout the entirety of all the splits they've had this roster and throughout Worlds. He's just been a liability. Like his champion pool is so small. He can play Aurelion Sol and just dumpster everyone on that champion, but as soon as that champion gets banned, he's shown that he just doesn't have the ability to pop off on other champions, and he's consistently let down the team on that. Everyone else seems to have done like really well. Stixay's performed much better than everyone has expected him to. Darshan, Xmithy have all done pretty well. I just feel like they should have looked for someone other than Huhi, but they know him much better than we do, obviously, so something obviously has to be clicking there, but from what I've seen, I feel like Huhi should have been replaced.
Also, I have a kind of a follow-up question. What do you think about Darshan? He's going to be going against some really tough top lane talent. Impact, Someday, Flame, Looper. Those are some big Korean talent names. Do you think he's going to be able to be up to the task really facing them, or is he going to crumple?
In the current meta, I don't think he's very strong. Tank meta, he's never really done very well in tank meta. He's always been like a carry top laner. Back when Riven was really popular, back when he, I can't remember that was back when he played on GGU, when carry top laners were meta, back when the red pot start was the thing. He was like the best top laner in A, hands down. But ever since the tanks have come in and really started dominating, he hasn't been as strong. He's still really good, but just like I think that he gets outclassed by other top laners that play tanks better than he does.
I I don't think Darshan's all that bad. Well, I do think that someday an Impact are better top laners. I do think that Darshan is one of the better ones right now. He's been doing really well in the laning phase. He was actually the second best in gold difference among top laners last split. So I really don't think his laning phase is all that bad. But I think the biggest question mark on this team is Huhi because when I was going through stats for the show, there are almost no good stats of how he was playing this a past split. Like his kill participation was like bottom 3. His damage percent is like 6th in LCS mids, and all the all of their wins are kind of on the back of Xmithy and Stixay, and I do also think that Huhi is a bottom tier a mid laner in a bottom tier mid laner in NA right now.
Oh, just first of all, jumping with the Darshan point. One of the biggest things, I don't know. It looks like Darshan thinks the way he played in the last play, it almost looked like he thought he was more mechanically proficient than the other top laners were at all points. But like he would overestimate how he would be able to outplay them, and that would be his downfall. So with all this new talent coming in, if he can bring it in and just show us that like, yes, he's still a good top laner, I think he could do well, especially with carry top laners coming back into the meta like Fiora, Camille are still good, even though Poppy's busted right now and he can play Poppy, so that's not an issue. As far as Huhi, I think honestly Huhi gets a lot more flack than he deserves. He's like a worse version of Hayes where he just draws pressure to himself and just lets the team do what they need to do. He doesn't tilt really, and he's like he does have his champions where he goes off on like Aurelion Sol. I agree he needs to be stronger in the meta picks, but if it comes to doing a cheese pick, I would expect Tuhi to be the one to pull it off.
Okay. Any lasting points about CLG?
Huhi is not good.
Okay. Oh,
Just
Frozen
not
bringing
not even
the hot
sugarcoating
fire. All right. Well, we'll have to see how Huki plays then.
Sorry, Huhi was not good.
Okay. All right. That's a little better. A little more professional. All right. Let's move on to Echo Fox, and their lineup seems to have at least improved a little bit over their abysmal roster of 2016. In top lane, they have Looper. Jungler, they brought on the challenger rookie Acadian. Mid, they still have Froggen. ADC, they still have Keith. And in support, they brought everyone's favorite player, Gate.
Yay.
Yay, everyone loves Gate. He can play anything. I'm surprised they didn't shift him over to AD carry.
Oh man, this roster is so interesting. Like Looper, he like former world champion. I'm interested to see how he does with this team. Like this is the biggest question mark for me is just how's Looper gonna do? Like is he gonna put the team on his back and just carry them every single game, or is he just gonna get camped like Dyrus and then just end up feeding and his team's just gonna lose the game because the top lane is too fed? Like that's basically this entire team for me is Looper gonna get like camped or is he gonna pop off?
I think one thing that you have to kind of be questioning is Echo Fox's shot calling and team communication, because last year it seemed like Echo Fox just really struggled with, communicating with each other and actually making good shot calling decisions. It seemed like all they were doing is just let Froggen farm till late and maybe he can carry us. And as was often the case, they couldn't reach that point. So, do you think that they're still going to struggle with making these calls and effectively playing as a team, and it'll just kind of be trying to be the Froggen show and it never hitting the prime time slot, so to speak?
Echo Fox is my sleeper team for this split. I really like Looper. He was arguably the best top laner in LPL, and Froggen, who is obviously a very talented player, but he was just surrounded by a bunch of questionable players. While I don't think Keith or Gate are anything to be excited about, I do really like Acadian. He was arguably the best jungler in NA Challenger Series last year. He led the Challenger Series in first blood percentage for junglers and in kill percentage for junglers if you take out Dardoch who only played 2 games. And I think that he has a lot of potential to jungle against some very good people and hold his own, if not play very well.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. Oh, Pie Magic Man, you were gonna say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think one of the big things, if you're going back to the shot calling, is Froggen's been around forever. Like, he's been playing League probably longer than some of his fans have been alive. Slight exaggeration, but he knows how to play the game. He knows what to do. And if you listen to some of the comms, like, man, I'm so happy. I feel bad saying this because he seemed like a nice guy, but I'm pretty happy Big is gone and replaced with Gate. I think that will really improve them. Even in some of their shot calling, it seemed like Big was, his voice just overpowered the rest of the team, as well as the fact that I think Gate has a higher ceiling, a higher skill ceiling with him.
Yeah, that Protect the Lucian clip was pretty funny, but probably also shows a window into how their communication probably worked. Any other points on Echo Fox before we move along? I'm trying to keep them quick and snappy.
No, I think this team is pretty, like, there's not a ton to talk about on this team. Like, Froggen's like kind of the staple now for this team. And Keith and Froggen are both there, but like everyone else is kind of, we already know what they do. It's just, can they live up to the things that people want them to do?
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's move on to FlyQuest. The old gods have returned, so to speak. Cloud9 Challengers team being reformed into an LCS team. We have Balls, Moon, High, Alltech, and Lemon Nation. Three of the original Cloud9 members now on a different team. We're gonna have to basically play like brother against brother, some kind of civil war type thing going on here. What do you guys think about FlyQuest? Because I'm not sure. Because High actually looked really good in the mid lane. Because when I became a Cloud9 fan, it was after High had quote unquote retired, and he went away from the mid lane. So to see him actually in his primary role, he actually looked like crazy good still, and that's with age and like his wrist issues that he had in the past. So I'm curious to see what you guys think of this squad.
Alright, so maybe you all children need to sit around and listen about the olden days of Season 3.
Tell me a story, Dad.
Ooh.
When Cloud9 was the hot new team coming out with Challenger.
Ooh, coming after my heart with this one.
And he's the way he put it in Season 3 and Season 4, he was like a supportive mid. The biggest metas that he was good in was the Soraka mid meta, which I hate and I never want to talk about again.
That was so cancer.
That sounds awful.
Oh god.
I didn't even know that sounds just so weird.
Yeah, that was
just shield tank everything.
That was a thing.
The
for
early
a while.
seasons of League just sound like it makes no sense.
Yeah. But no, High has one speed and that's in, and so he's just going to be trying to make plays the entire time. If it doesn't work, then he's going to think of another way to make a play, and that's one of the things you can expect. Honestly, I think some of this team, there might be a nostalgia factor when you think of, 3 of the 5 of original C9 who smashed the scene coming back, but High never played at the same level as after his long collapse. He used to be like one of the best, if not the best, mid laner at NA, and that was even when Bjergsen came in, and you could contest between the two in that first split. Balls, as we know, seems to have fallen off. He's not carrying games with Infinity Edge Nidalee top anymore. Lemon Nation, ever since the addition of coaches, a lot of his value to the team seems to have dropped. He doesn't seem like he's up to the mechanics of the up and coming supports that have started joined. Altec I still think is a great AD carry, and then of course Moon, who he did really well in Challenger, and then he didn't do so well on the big stage. With High calling the shots, maybe he could bring out that Evelyn pick and they'll just go crazy on a high kill game. Who knows? This is a really big question mark because there is that nostalgia to put through. They haven't been looking as good recently, but they definitely have the power to surprise you.
Yeah, one of the questions I was going to ask was that can High RTS this team onto victory, micromanaging all four of those other positions. Moon definitely seemed to be kind of the disappointing player because, as you said, he was really. I remember people were saying like him, Dardoch, and Contracts were like the three rookie junglers that were really hyped when they came on the scene. And Dardoch has been all right, but there were team synergy issues, and Moon just seemed to kind of fall flat. So it'll be really interesting to see if maybe now with him being on a team that actually all of them speak English, maybe he can actually get something done. All right. Do you guys have any other points on FlyQuest? I know that's kind of a big team, at least for us, since we have so many former players that were under the Cloud9 name, now enemies, sort of.
I just really want to see FlyQuest do well, assuming that they do worse than us and lose to us. Then I hope they win all of their games. I'm really excited to see how High and ADC adapt back to LCS because they were the top 2 damage per minute outputters in NA Challengers series last split. I don't think it's going to be nearly as easy, but I'm really excited to see how they can translate that back into the LCS, and if they can both still carry.
Yeah.
Hopefully they can play at a high enough level. Am I right?
Dude, this pun you wrote in here is so bad.
I had to do it.
Okay, so for all of you that can't see, like we have a slideshow up right now of like all the teams and stuff, and he wrote in here cons: Moon's history of underperformance, High still prone to wrist issues, Vets too over the hill to compete at a quote high level, and then in parentheses it says I'm so sorry.
I had to do it.
That is so bad.
You should be sorry.
I regret nothing.
Yeah, this team to
I
me
have a very
is...
weird sense of humor. The thing that I find hilarious, it seems that no one else finds hilarious.
It's funny, but it's just so bad.
It's funny in like a really sad way.
Yeah, but honestly, this team to me is like it. I feel like a lot of like all the players from old C9 on here. It's like there's a lot of nostalgia. Looking back on it, it's like these players were amazing. It's like they all worked so well together. And it's like they're still really good, but I feel like I just don't know how they're gonna stack up against like other people with like really like Jensen or Bjergsen. Like High can hold his own, but I don't know if he can be like what he used to, where he would actually like dominate the matchups and still be able to micromanage everyone. Like I just feel like the players are kind of past their prime a little bit, so we'll have to just see how it goes.
All right, yeah, those are all very fair points. Maybe not my pun. My pun's probably not a fair point. But that aside, all very good points. We'll definitely be looking forward to that matchup, and we'll probably dedicate most of an episode whenever we play them to talking about that, at least the first time around. But let's move on to Immortals. This roster seems really interesting. They have Flame, Dardoch, Pobelter, Cody Sun, and Ole. Dardoch, of course, coming off of Team Liquid and that dumpster fire meltdown that they've had. Flame of Flame Horizon fame. That seems like a really big top lane pickup, but Cody Sun and Ole seems to be a bit of a question mark. I watched them play at IEM, and they just look really not synergistic. They kept getting dove every like 3 minutes. They could not do anything at all. It was really hard to watch.
I only like for this Immortals roster. I only like Dardoch and Pole Belter. I think that Pole Belter is easily the most underrated mid laner in NA right now because he was doing some of the most damage per minute among in his last split, and he wasn't getting the majority of the gold because there was Rainover, Huni, and a Wild Turtle who were getting just as much gold as him, if not more in almost every game. Albeit Pole Belter was their leading damage per minute for last split.
Yeah, for this team, it's like Pole Belter. I agree. He's super underrated. Like, I think this guy is actually like insanely good.
Yeah.
I feel like CLG's biggest mistake in recent memory was dropping Pole Belter for Huhi. Like, Pole Belter has consistently, yeah, he's consistently like gone above and beyond my expectations of for him. Like, he's just really showed up, it seems like, over the past I can't remember when Immortals signed him, but since they signed him,
It was last spring.
last spring. Okay, yeah, he's really proved to be like a really big threat on that team. I think that Flame Dardoch Pobelter is a really scary combination. The bottom lane's just such a big question mark for me. Like, I don't know how well that's gonna work. Because I'm assuming Dardoch is going to be giving most of his attention to his star top and mid laners anyways. So the bot lane's going to be kind of on their own. So that could go really bad if teams start to exploit that and Immortals can't figure out a way to adapt.
Yeah, one of the good things about the bot lane though is, I guess, like, the ADC role doesn't seem to be as strong as it was in the past. So, like, Cody's son isn't necessarily going to have to be their main carry. I mean, you do have Pobelter and Flame, who are amazing. You have Dardoch, who can take over the jungle. He can take over a game. But one of the weirdest things is, like, using your import slot on Ale. Like, that just seems like an odd pickup when, there was the Korean Exodus Part 2, Koreans leave China again, and you decide to pick up Ale.
Yeah, they probably could have used that to get maybe a better AD carrier, maybe just even a better support player. That does seem like kind of a question mark. I'm also wondering if Dardoch is going to run into the same problems that he had on TL, where the team isn't performing as well as he would like, and then he just kind of implodes and makes everyone kind of collapse around.
I feel like the fact that Loco Doco isn't on the team with him is going to help that, though.
Yeah, that's
both of
probably
them
another
were
good
like
point.
they were really going at each other.
You saw the same thing on TSM too. So it seems like every team that he coaches, they just kind of fall apart and just collapse in on each other. So yeah, definitely having Loco Doco not coach is probably good. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move on to Phoenix One. This is also another really interesting roster. They have Zig and Inori returning top and jungle. Ryu from H2 What? H2K. Arrow from Arrow played on KT Rolster, I think, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Yes. So Arrow from KT Rolster is playing at ADC, and Adrian from Immortals is going to be their support. Adrian's a really good support. He's really good at just keeping the AD carry alive. I think that was probably one of the reasons why Wild Turtle and Immortals did so well. Ryu's a really good mid laner. I think I actually haven't watched EU that much. Ryu has kind of been hot and cold with me. When I watch him play, sometimes he does really well, sometimes he doesn't. And Ori looked like a really good jungler, and it seems that when he played and he actually got to play on Phoenix One, he actually kind of held the team together, actually gave them a few wins. So that's my opinion.
I feel like Ryu's the kind of person that he's consistent enough to the point where you can rely on him, and he pops off sometimes, and so like he just looks like an absolute god. But like he's not consistent enough to the point where you can be like, this guy is like top three mids in a or top three mids in like a region, because he has those occasional games where he just falls on his face and he just looks completely useless. So it's like if he can get rid of those games where he just falls on his face, I think this team will be super strong, because Ryu is like, I'm a big Ryu fan. I think he's really good. I just think he needs to take it to the next level with his play, and Arrow as well. Like I'm excited for this team because they have a lot of potential, but whether or not they get to actually utilize that potential revolves, I feel like, heavily on how well Ryu plays.
I don't know. It just seems like when I think about Ryu, I sometimes forget how good of a mid laner he can be, and when other mid laners play against him, sometimes they seem to forget how good of a mid laner Ryu can be, and he makes some surprising plays that you forget that he was like way up there when he was back on KT Rolster. As far as making use of Arrow, I haven't seen enough of Arrow to know if Adrian will be able to be on the same page as him. And Nori did show great promise at the end of last split when he finally got to play, but you have Sig, who just is kind of there. Like, with the rest of the top laners looking so good, that's going to be a huge liability, especially with how important that is, especially compared to some of the other roles right now. And you have Sig.
You got Zig. Frozen, do you have any thoughts?
I personally like this team. I think that if you had to pick like three people as their base, I think that you could do a lot worse than a Ryu, Arrow, and Adrian. And I also think that Nori kind of came into it at the end of last split, and he was actually top 3 in first blood percentage in junglers. So I thought that this team has a lot of potential going forward, because Ryu was not elite, but he was a better mid laner in EU, and Arrow actually led the LCK in kills last split. So I think that this team has a lot more potential than perhaps Immortals, and maybe even a Liquid and CLG maybe.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just like saying like, yeah.
Okay,
They
yeah.
They do have a lot of potential. It's just one of those, like, there's so much potential, but there's also so much potential to be terrible.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, just trying to keep the trying to keep the train moving.
Yeah, for sure. I totally get
All
you.
right, let's talk about Dig. I think this is a team that has a lot of promise. On paper, they look really great, but I think they also have a lot to lose. Someday in the top lane, jungler's Chaser, mid is Keen, AD carry is Lod, and support is X Special. I think the big question is, and I think this is to a lesser extent, I think other teams that have made really drastic changes in Braun and Crane imports is, how are they going to be able to communicate, or is everybody going to be on the same page and be able to synergize well? Because like we saw with NRG, Moon wasn't able to do like anything because they had like Impact, GBM, and I forgot who their bottom lane was, but everyone was speaking Korean and he didn't speak Korean, so he just had no idea what to do half the time. So is it going to be like that? Are they just going to fall off because NA is kind of different than Korea and they just can't adapt to the culture and whatnot? There's a lot of question marks in that kind of area, I think.
Man, I'm so excited for this team. Like, I'm so ready for Dig to be back. They were one of the original big four, being CLG, TSM, Curse, and Dig. And they were the first of the big four to go, like, to fall out of the LCS. But now they're back, and I'm super excited for this roster as well. Sunday is so good, dude. Like, he's actually really, really good. I'm super excited. I'm
really excited to
for
see
him.
Sunday.
Like, getting to see him play versus Impact, I'm actually so ready for that. I can't wait. I'm just so excited for this roster. I think Xpecial is super underrated. Like, people forget when he was on TSM and was like just hands down the best support in NA. I think he's still really good. Um, this is a super talented roster, and I think they're gonna do well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you have Someday and Chaser. That's an insanely scary combo right there. If you even want to think about it from like, oh, Chain's only as strong as its weakest link, your weakest link is probably Keen, and Keen's still really good. So, ADC Laud was going off last year on Envy, and Xpecial still the support machine made by TSM to destroy CLG. Like, this is an insanely powerful roster. As long as the cohesion between Someday, Chaser, and then the English speakers is good, like, this team is going to be terrifying.
Yeah, that's the only question mark is the language barrier. If they can get past that, this team is going to be insanely good.
I think we actually play them week 1, so that'll be just hype as
Ugh,
fuck.
I'm so excited for that.
Or yeah, I think that this team is kind of overrated, honestly. There, I said it. I don't think Keen's that great. I don't think Lod's anything special, and I don't think I don't think Xpecial is all that special either. And I do think that Someday is the best top laner in NA right now. But I don't think that Chaser would be considered a top 3 jungler. So I think that this team, unless they can come together well, I don't think that they're going to be anything special or top 3 or top 4 worthy. But I've been wrong before.
Well, we'll just have to see. Uh, hopefully they can do well. We'll keep everyone informed. I'm also really excited to see what they have to offer, and I'm really looking to see what they can do.
I actually, if they wanted to make their team better, they could have brought back the OG ADC.
Oh, the pie.
Yeah, I'm a cutie
The
pie.
god himself.
Will they be able to? Will they still pull
Hell
off the
yeah.
Dig Baron though?
Oh god. That's
Hell
the
yeah.
Scara special.
The Scara special.
What, like, how can you possibly lose when you have the number 1 AD carry? He might not actually be the best, but you can be sure that he'll try.
Very true.
He taught Sneaky.
Dude, he
I
did.
don't know much about I'm a Cutie Pie, so.
I'm a cutie pie taught Sneaky. He's Sneaky's mentor.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Is that-
Sneaky was a sub for Dignitas.
Oh yeah, I remember him
For
talking
a
about
long
that
time.
on his
Or
on
not
his
for a
podcast
long
with
time, but for a
Scara.
while. Yeah, and then he was like under the mentorship of I'm a Cutie Pie. That's why he's so good.
Oh, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Hell yeah.
All right, well let's move on to Envious.
Dude, this team looks
Envious,
bad.
They fell off hard after they went like 4 games undefeated and everyone was really scared of them, and then they completely shat the bed for the second half of Spring Split. So rosters, Seraphim Ninja and Hakuho are still there in their respective roles. In jungle, they have, I think it's Lyra.
I think that's right.
Yeah. He spells his name with like a lowercase L, so I can't tell if it's capital I or lowercase L. Jungle is Lyra and ADC is Apollo. I think Apollo's all right, but this roster looks nothing special. They're probably not going to do well.
I've never seen a team that Seraph has been on do well.
Renegades.
Yeah, exactly. Like every single team that he joins just goes to shit. Like it's actually so depressing watching him like just join teams and then have them just die.
Everything he touches dies.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what happens. Like that, I remember with the OG day, like the day when they brought him over on CLG, he was super hyped up, and then just completely underperformed. And ever since then, it's just like he's always been like this, like secondhand top laner that he's like a budget top laner that you don't really want on your team, but you can't get anyone else, so you kind of have to go with him.
The kind of top laner you like go to IKEA for because it's cheap and you can just kind of put it somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm guessing no one really has anything to say about Envy.
The only thing that I have to add is that a Ninja was potentially the worst mid laner in LCS last split, and one of their few bright spots was Lod, and he's now gone. So I think that this team is borderline
Stick a fork in them because they're done.
trashed here at this point. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, every other team upgraded so much. They were bottom of the barrel last split, and their only real upgrade is in the jungle. Lyra, who was formerly on the Freaks and Rebels Anarchy, who I believe were the ones who ended up beating SKT a couple times. But otherwise, what are you going to do when the other four roles might not even be up to snuff with the caliber that NALCS has now?
Yeah, jungling with 4 losing lanes is impossible. Like, just straight up.
Well, hopefully they can maybe pull themselves out of the ditch. I will say that they had really questionable pick and bans, so hopefully we won't see any more mid lane pantheons or anything super crazy. But you
Yeah.
never know with Team Envy.
Yeah. I want the team to do well. I never like seeing teams do poorly, but I just don't know about this roster.
Yeah, especially
dude.
when they're new teams, because you want them to kind of stay around for a while and see what they can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's move on to a team that could possibly do a little bit better, but will probably just get fourth. Let's move on to Team Liquid. We have Lorlo in the top lane, junglers Reignover. At mid you have Golden Glue and Link. AD carry Piglet making his fantastic return after Dardoch was cast out, and Matt is bringing up the rear at support once again. What do you guys think? Can Piglet come back to his earlier form, or is the team just going to kind of struggle with Golden Glue and Matt kind of always seeming to second guess himself in shot calling?
I think that Reignover's an upgrade on Dardoch, but not by much. But I don't think that Piglet is going to be a top tier ADC, and I don't think that Lorlo, Golden Glue, and Matt are anything special. I do think that Golden Glue's decent. Trey convinced me, but I think that this team is going to be one of the teams that falls off from last split, because they just didn't get strong enough.
I mean, Reignover is definitely a good pick. Lorlo started picking up. I don't know. Piglet to me just seems like he's like the Froggen of AD carries. Like, he was definitely good at one point. He's still pretty good, but he definitely doesn't seem to be as big of a playmaker as there are other ones nowadays. He kind of sits back and tries to do as much damage as he can. It just doesn't seem like he's like he can be a threat, but it's normally like a late game threat. Golden Glue, is this going to be his year? Is this finally going to be the year? Like, he's picked up by the team. He's not just a sub now. He's actually going to show us that he's going to be LCS material, or is he going to show us why he's always the, oh yeah, we need someone to sub for a couple days, let's bring in Golden Glue. You know, if Matt and Piglet get back along, Piglet is actually working to get back to his former world champ level. I think it's a pretty good bot lane, and that's going to be where the main focus should be.
And before Arc second takes over mid from Golden Glue.
Dude, I love Arc second. That guy's great.
Same.
I hear his stream is like really informative.
Dude, he's
I
so
love his
he's
stream.
so nice.
I like it when they're
And
nice.
handsome.
I like when streamers are nice. If they're nice, I will watch them all
He's one
the
of my
time.
favorite streamers. Like, he's such a great person just in general.
And he's super chill and drinks a ton of fucking water.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, this team is like, I can definitely see them doing well, but I just can't see them being a top, like, not necessarily a bottom tier team, but they seem like a really middle of the pack team to me.
Yeah.
They have good talent, but I don't think they have enough to really push them up to like top 3. So I think like 6 to 4 area is about where they'll land. Golden Glue is really interesting though, because he's like, I know Pobelter took forever to get to where he is now. Like, he was one of those players. He was in Golden Glue's situation for a long time. He was like really high ranked in the challenger ladder, like consistently every season, super good. And he would get picked up by teams, and he would go into the tournaments and just not do well, and he wouldn't perform. But he finally got picked up by CLG, and he started doing really well, and now he's one of the best mid laners in A. So I feel like Golden Glue, people shouldn't count him out, because Pobelter is a case of something almost exactly like him happening. Uh, and so, like, now that Golden Glue is finally getting a starting spot, it's like I I want to see him break out of his shell. Like, it's his time to really prove to everyone, because he's never had this opportunity before. So I think if Golden Glue does end up being really good, this team is actually really good. Like, they have a lot of potential to be top tier team in NA if Golden Glue is good. But if not, if he's just mediocre, middle of the pack, my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I can't really elaborate any further. You guys want to talk about TSM now? Our most hated rival.
And our first match.
And our first match will be just in case if you guys are still listening at home. We'll probably be talking about TSM more in depth next week, since that will be one of our first matches. Should be a really great match. Anyway, their rosters pretty much stay the same except for Wild Turtle coming in as AD carry. What do you guys think of this pick? It seems like a real downgrade from Double If, and that's what seems to be what everyone's saying. Also, they don't have Weldon. Weldon stepped down as well.
Well, I don't know
Sorry,
about
go
you
ahead.
guys. I love Turtle. I love that guy. Like, everything about him, I love him. I love his playstyle. I love his personality. I think he gets too much flack for the way he plays. Like, I think he's still, like, really, really good. Is he as good as Double Lift? Obviously not. I don't think he's as good as Sneaky either. I think Double Lift and Sneaky are both, like, a tier ahead, but I think he's, like, really, really good though. I think he's a good fit for the team, and I think he was the best that they could have gotten, and so I think that was the right choice. And I'm really excited to see him back in the LCS. He's one of my favorite players.
I'm not convinced that that Wild Turtle is much of a downgrade as people are saying anyway, because he's played splits with TSM before, and statistically he wasn't that far behind Double Lift in really anything. When it came to ADCs, he had one less kill, he had 9 more assists, and he did more damage per minute than Double Lift did.
Yeah, people forget how good he was. Like, when he was on TSM, he was so dominant. Like, people were very, very convinced that he was the best AD carry in NA, only rivaled by the likes of Double Lift. That was before people really started crediting Sneaky with how good he was. But, like, at the time, it was Wild Turtle versus Double Lift, and people, I don't want to say a lot of the time, but, like, there was a lot of people that thought Wild Turtle was the best AD carry in NA for a while.
Wild Turtle, I agree, has been kind of bashed on a lot. Like, he was definitely really good. He proved that he's pretty good on Immortals. The biggest issue I see with getting Wild Turtle isn't mechanical ability, it's the shot calling Double Lift brought. You saw when TSM faltered the most was when Bjergsen took over the role as main shot caller, and then they had this great season where Bjergsen and Double Lift split it. So now that role of shot caller is going to fall onto Bjerg again, is he going to be able to keep up his high level of play and be able to shot call by himself, or is he going to start faltering again? And when Bjergsen falters, that seems to be when all of TSM faltered.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up as well. That when Brigson had to shot call himself, he just stretches himself too thin because he's trying to think of what's going on in his lane. He's trying to think of what's going on in the other lanes, what's going on in the jungle. He just kind of gets overloaded, and then the team really suffers for it. I think we kind of saw that a little bit in IEM Localand, but I think that a lot of that was probably just not being able to practice with the team. The team only practiced for like 3 days, so probably not a really big valid point. But IEM Oakland, I mean, but yeah, I think that's definitely something that should be paid attention to as well.
Really goes to show you how much of a god High is.
Oh yeah, for sure. He is a true strategist in every sense of the word.
Able to stomp his lane and micromanage the entire team. Like,
He
dude,
he has a gift.
I don't
He
think
has
we'll
a
ever
gift.
see anyone as talented as he was in his prime. Like, he was just so good. Moving on though.
Yeah. Anyone have any final thoughts on TSM? Any of the other teams that we went over before we end this episode?
Uh, DSM, strong team, always have been, always probably will be. Uh, like even if Bjergsen can't perform at 100%, like there's still gonna be a top 3 team. I think like that. There's just too much talent on this team for them not to be like super good.
Anybody else?
Well, since we got even more imports, let's just hope that actually raises the level of challenger play, especially with now solo queue, duo queue back. Hopefully that, you know, uh, basically the region as a whole can grow stronger and people start focusing more on ranked.
Yes.
Agreed.
I'm still bronze 4, but that's because I'm an AD carry main.
Uh,
uh, yeah. So that was kind of a rundown for the spring split of LCS 2017. Join us next week. We'll be giving you not only a preview of our matches for next week, we'll be talking about 7.1 and all the changes that happened in the meta. We'll talk about AD carry, maybe what can be fixed. We'll have a bunch of good old times talking about League next week. So please join us for that. Do you guys have? Was there any real moments of the week? I don't really know. Besides Clemson winning, Frozen.
I wasn't gonna say that, but my uncle was there and his birthday was yesterday. So
oh, nice.
shout out to him.
Oh yeah.
But,
yeah. That must have been fun to go to.
Yeah, let's do our predictions for the year.
All right.
Yeah.
And then I do have a moment of the week.
Yeah. Who wants to
that.
go first with their predictions?
I'll go.
I can do it.
Oh, okay. You go.
Okay. So first I have Cloud9, second TSM, third CLG, fourth I have one of my underdog teams, Phoenix One, and then the second underdog team, Echo Fox, then the old Dig, Immortals, Liquid, FlyQuest, and Envy. I switched it up like 4 times during this conversation.
I guess I can go next since we can just kind of go down the line.
All right.
I have Cloud9 first, TSM, CLG, Team Liquid, FlyQuest at 5th, Dignitas, Immortals, Phoenix One, Envy, Echo Fox. A lot of those like in the middle, like FlyQuest, Dig, and Immortals. That whole big chunk, you can probably switch around a lot. A lot of those were pretty much ties with me. I couldn't really figure out which one to put where. So it should be a really great season though.
Yeah, for me, I have C9, TSM, CLG. For fourth, I put FlyQuest. That's my kind of I don't know. I don't want to call them underdog, but like that's my out on a limb pick, I guess. Then I have TL, Immortals, Dignitas. I think those are honestly all just interchangeable. I think they're all gonna be somewhere around there. Then I have Echo Fox, P1, and Envy. Yeah, Envy on the bottom. I don't think they're gonna do well. And then I have below that all of Korea, EU. Then 3 cells below that I have G2.
So G2's probably taking a vacation right now. So at least they're well rested.
Yeah.
Pie Magic Man, what about your picks?
Alright, so first place I have Cloud9, and then all bias aside, I would still have Cloud9 in first place. I think they just were strong already, had few changes of what might be considered an upgrade. There's no reason for them to be lower when everyone else swapped around. Second, TSM's always going to be strong. Dignitas, all those new players are all really good. It's on paper it should be great. CLG, they always come through in the clutch. Team Liquid is next at 5th. and Immortals in 6th. You know, I feel like those 3 could interchange with those 4th through 6th slots. And then in 7th, I have FlyQuest. Like I said, as much as I want to have faith, like the nostalgia, I don't want that to look through this with rose-tinted glasses. Echo Fox coming in after, then Phoenix One, and then finally Envy.
No, no, not a lot of fate in Team Envy and Echo Fox, it seems.
I put them 5th. Thank you.
All right, well, we'll just have to see. Uh,
I I I saved all of the predictions, so
yeah, we can kind of visit it
I
again at the end of the split and kind of see.
laugh at all you guys. Okay, so my moment of the week was Night Blue 3 making beep boop sounds about I'm a cutie pie's quote unquote bots in his Twitch stream. The whole feud between those two was one of the stupidest things I've seen. But it was the best parts from it were the beep boop and a Cutie Pie's Instagram photo where he was trying to get in a Night Blue to talk to him, and he looked like super sad and like brokenhearted.
That, that one's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, I guess if we're gonna do moments in esports, so one of my favorite weeks of the year is when AGDQ Awesome Games Done Quick does their charity, and they just speedrun games for like 24/7 for I think a week, and raise money for good causes, and you get to see some awesome games. So I gotta watch that this week.
Oh yeah, I watched a little bit of that.
AGDQ is pretty great. Yeah, it's always fun to watch. Oof. For me? Oh man. My moment of the week, I would have to say would be I'm gonna go with something that happened really recently. I got to finally work on like an actual song for like production, mixing, editing, and all that. I got to like get in contact with someone, and I got to work on their whole song and be the engineer for that. So that was actually super fun. I'm super excited
cool.
for that.
That sounds really cool. My moment of the week is, I guess, kind of a personal thing, but I checked my email earlier this week, and I was officially awarded my master's in business administration. So I have an
Oh,
MBA
congratulations.
now. So
From which school?
Nice.
UAB.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which school did you do your undergrad at?
University of Alabama. So
Great week.
yeah, great. Yeah, ups and downs, ups and downs. But yeah. So
I know your
now we have
pain,
to find a
don't worry.
job. So I guess that's next on my list.
So if anyone's hiring,
Probably.
He'll give you the email in a second.
All right. Well, that looks like it'll do us for today. So thanks for watching listening to the 20th episode of Bodied, the Cloud9 Fancast. Feel free to tweet questions and feedback to @C9Bodied or email us at bodiedfancast@gmail.com. We'll try to answer questions on the next episode. We're going to be trying to be more active on Twitter. It's kind of hard trying to balance real life and some other account that you don't really check often, but we're going to try really hard to